I think that this time should have given everybody a moment to reflect on what they want society to be going for. I tried to fit in as much as I could, but I also kept my individuality. How we treat people as assets, not tools of the trade, was also very important. I think the country has to come to terms with its posture regarding FDI. I never thought I'd live to see the world shut down. 70% of the world shut down at the same time. I never thought I'd see pictures of big Indian cities absolutely deserted. I never thought I'd see a picture of Chennai completely deserted. It was unsettling to say the least. And I'm not talking after 8 o'clock in the night, which is how it used to be when I was growing up, but I'm talking during the day. I never thought I'd see New York City as quiet and um, it was just an unsettling time. I think that this time should have given everybody um, a moment to reflect on what they want society to be going forward. What do they want the support structures to be for families? What do they want the role of companies to be? How should they work with governments? Because I think at the end of the day, these moments of disruption should force people to sit back and say, should a new kind of company emerge where companies and governments and nonprofits work closely together to improve societies, to improve communities? Should we step up to be toe to toe with the government in addressing pandemics, crises, as opposed to saying this is a government problem? Let me just retreat and keep my head down. How should all this work? I hope that corporates in every country reflect on this and say, what more could we have done to get out of the pandemic versus what we really did? And did we really lean into help? Could we have done more? Going forward, what do we need to help the government be prepared for? Because our governments can't do everything, Vinay. Just cannot. That's why you have big corporations. That's why you have NGOs. You have various other entities that support government. I think the time has come for us to think about a genuine public-private partnership on how to improve countries, societies, communities, with a sense to not making the next $1 billion, but thinking about the health of the people, the health of communities, addressing inequality. All of these issues should come to the fore. We lost our sense of humanity. I hope it's come back, and I hope it allows us to reset the equations we all have between companies, societies, governments, all of that. Let me give you an example. If you think about increasing the profit margin substantially for many products, sit back and ask yourself, is that an essential product for society? Should we think about gouging the consumers, or should we think about treating consumers in a more reasonable way so that we don't use this opportunity to extract extraordinary profits? Okay, so it's still capitalism at its best, but capitalism with a bit of a heart. So those are the kinds of things we all have to get into the mode of. Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I experienced it many, many times. Sometimes in meetings, sometimes in interactions with people, sometimes with board members. But it was small. It was not significant racial overtones. You feel it. Sometimes people make snide remarks, or they treat you differently because you're so different. But that's inevitable. I made a choice to come to a country where people are very different from me. And I tried to fit in as much as I could, but I also kept my individuality. And so I know that there will be some, snide remarks or comments or some behavior that will offend me. As long as the majority of people were welcoming and worked well with me, I never let the 10 or 15% define the other 85 or 90%. So I focused on the larger number of people. The point that I'd make, though, Vinay, is that only in a country like America could somebody like me have come in as an immigrant and become CEO of an iconic, quintessentially American company. Only in America. I don't believe that any other country in the world this could have happened. So I still look at my life here as a very positive story, not just for me, but for the country too. And the way it's really still a meritocracy. There's one thing I'd like to think about in working with some of the other senior executives in India is thinking about the Anganwadi system that exists in India and perhaps taking one community and designing an Anganwadi 3.0 or 4.0, which could serve as a backbone for childcare for people who are not so well off. And, I have to think about how to do it, but that's one topic that's sort of intriguing to me. And I want to see how I can help give back that way. Over my time, my 25 years at PepsiCo, the world around us changed. The nature of the competition changed, consumer tastes changed, government focus on nutrition and health stepped up. So many things changed in the environment. And I honestly believe that companies ought to anticipate where the consumer is going and make the changes in anticipation of where the consumer is going. And so the whole articulation of performance with purpose was because I sensed the entire market globally was going a certain way. People wanted to, and many times, were being told to eat healthier, appropriately so. Environmental issues were becoming major, whether it was plastics or water use. I grew up with water shortage in Madras, as you did, Vinay. And to me, water was very personal. So we had to do something about it. And then people are what makes us successful or not. And so how we treat people as assets, not tools of the trade, was also very important. So over my time at PepsiCo, I could see CEO after CEO how we were making changes in response to all of these trends. When I became CEO, I just accelerated the changes. So I think every CEO of any company should do everything future back, anticipate where the world is going. You can't make changes overnight. So anticipate where the world is going, make the changes for the changing world in a gradual way so you can still deliver performance, but retool the company for a future that's going to be different. And if you didn't do that, you'd be disrupted. You'll become a non-factor in the corporate world. I think India's come a long way. I'm in awe of the entrepreneurial environment in India, how many startups and the valuations they're commanding. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs who are in startups and I advise some of them. But I must say they're brilliant. They're driven by a sense of purpose, but they're also driven by a desire to cash out quickly. I think we have to build enduring companies for the country. So how do you not just cash out, but reinvest to grow? A company like Jeff Bezos did with Amazon. How do you build an enduring company so that it has scale and longevity as opposed to sell it and get out? I think governance could improve, corporate governance. I look at the corporate governance laws in the US. I think corporate governance in India is only now becoming something that people are talking about, governance laws. And I think that the country has to come to terms with its posture regarding FDI. Is there going to be a consistent framework to think about FDI? Are companies going to be consulted when change in laws happen? But those are all for the Indian government to figure out. All that I'll tell you is, as a foreign company investing in India or being part of other foreign companies investing in India, India is a very desirable destination, very desirable. India's got the demographic dividend. India is a country with lots of talent. It understands capitalism. India is a very desirable country, but India can also be a frustrating country to do business in. So I think, and the government is working on this. I think what's the best way to operate the country for the benefit of the citizens of India, at the same time, provide foreign direct investors a framework within which they can operate in a way that doesn't sort of jerk them around.